if Wolverine had a sex change operation, would that make him an X-Man?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that-
I guess so.
I think I can do better.
Can you?
No. Welcome to Beer, Pizza and a Movie, everybody. That is the best I've got.
No, that was shameful.
It was pretty shameful. Hang on, I reckon I've got a better one. You talk, I'll think of a better one.
Okay, so this week we're doing X-Men Apocalypse. So that's why Ross is trying so hard. I think he's putting some great faces.
I really am trying. Hang on. The morality in the X-Men universe isn't black and white, but shades of Jean Grey.
No, that's just not good.
No, that's terrible.
That's not good. That would work more for 50 Shades of Grey, perhaps. Like as a joke, if we were to
Oh,
do
right.
that movie.
Oh,
should we do that next week? By the way?
Cyclops ties up the Dark Phoenix, and it's 50 Shades of Jean Grey.
No, it's just no. You still haven't got it. Oh, anyway, okay. I think you've tried 3 times.
I think I've had a few too many.
Yeah. So yeah, this week X-Men Apocalypse. How excited are you for this one?
I'm so mad about this movie.
Me too. I've seen all the trailers. I don't care. In every single trailer, it says everything they've built will fall. And
I don't care about what they've built.
No, it just looks like an end of the world movie, which doesn't look original for a film 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's actually literally called Apocalypse. There hasn't been a movie.
I mean, at least it's not Rise of Apocalypse.
Oh God, Apocalypse Reloaded. No, it's just. Sorry, folks. This podcast for the first half hour is going to be really down.
It's going to be just moaning
because
and let's
neither
face
of us
it,
are very excited.
We're expecting that afterwards it will be also.
It might
just,
well be whinging.
Yeah.
I would love to be pleasantly surprised by this movie.
What do you want this movie to be? What would make this movie good for you?
Not being an apocalypse movie, frankly.
Okay.
Independence Day started it, and then we've had 2012, and we've had so many since then, and I'm bored of them. I don't want it to be an end of the world movie, even though it's called Apocalypse.
I'm kind of expecting that a lot of the destruction scenes we've seen in trailers are going to be just like dreams or alternate realities.
It wouldn't surprise me
stuff like that.
if they are all planets Apocalypse is already destroyed or something, because I think he might be dimension hopping to a certain extent.
Dimension hopping, yeah, but yeah.
Or realities that he's destroyed or something, or timelines that he's destroyed, and the X-Men go back in time to undo it or something.
Oh, I think they're going to do a time travel reboot.
I really hope not, because that failed. Tell you what, before we get to what time travel reboot is, let's just briefly talk about the X-Men movies from the top.
Okay, so all of them.
Yeah, very briefly.
Okay, so in 2000 we had the first one, X1.
Really good. Really enjoyed that movie. It was a good... I thought it was a really good version of the X-Men. It was modern. It was kind of gritty. I don't know where it came in comparison to Spider-Man.
It was before Spider-Man.
Before Spider-Man,
2 years before Spider-Man.
Yeah. It was the first real attempt at a comic book movie, I think, in the current era.
And X-Men...
Blade, I think, came before.
It came before and after.
Yeah, Blade 1 came before.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a good attempt at a realistic X-Men movie, and it had a good message about sort of accepting people who are different and all the rest, and it had, the civil rights angle as well, the parallels with that. It had good action, it had good actors, the powerhouse that is Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, of course. It introduced the world to Hugh Jackman, a great version of Wolverine.
Well, I mean, I think he'd already... Was the Prestige before that?
I don't think so. I think Prestige is since. I have to look that one up.
Even so, it kicked off his career.
I don't think
it was his first movie, but it kicked off his career.
It certainly wasn't his first movie, but it was definitely something that catapulted him forwards.
Big time.
Yeah, because none of the other X-Men are people we'd ever heard of before, except for those two I just said. So, yeah, I thought it was really good.
Oh, Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. She was reasonably well known, wasn't she?
Yeah, and then she did James Bond, I think the year after that, could be 2 years after that.
Basically nosedived her career.
Well, she was supposed to get a spin-off from that film, but I think that just didn't work because that film was one of the worst James Bond films, and it came out the same year as the first Jason Bourne film.
I don't even remember that James film. There was a guy with diamonds in his face for some reason.
Oh, Diamond Face.
Diamond Face. Yeah, well, actually, it's James Bond. They probably called him Diamond Face.
Yeah.
I come from a whole race of people with diamond faces. You can't just call me Diamond Face. My name is Sparkle McFacet. It's just so racist to call me Diamond Face. X1 was really good.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so X2.
So X2, yeah.
Right.
Sorry, there's a clanking sound of me stirring coffee with the bottle opener.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I was expecting it to say Budweiser on the side. It doesn't.
Nope.
Budweiser, if you would like to send us free beer, we will drink it. Actually, we might
for the bottle opener that doesn't have Budweiser written on it.
Yeah, but I've mentioned it now, so it's product placement.
Yeah, but you didn't mention it in a good way.
That's right. Budweiser is great. Budweiser send us beer. Right, anyway, X2. A lot of people have told me that X2 is really good. I don't think it was bad, but I didn't particularly enjoy it either. That was Wolverine trying to find his origins. Surprisingly.
I thought that was all of them.
No. Well, this one kind of was more so.
Yeah.
This was Wolverine trying to find the Alkali Lake facility and meeting Brian Cox as Stryker. Not Strucker. Strucker is a Hydra agent.
Yeah, sorry.
This is Stryker, the guy who keeps turning up in other things and being recast.
They're just very similar names for two Marvel villains.
That's true. Yes, one's Baron Von and the other one's Colonel something. Anyway, he finds the Alkali Lake facility, fights Lady Deathstrike, and doesn't really find out very much about himself apart from the Weapon X connection.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember what the final scene of that one is. Oh, I think is that the one where Professor X is being controlled by a kind of poisonous thing they put on the back of his neck?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's 2.
I don't know, all these films are sort of merged into one.
Because Stryker is trying to find a way of killing all the mutants by using Professor X as a weapon.
Ah, yeah, that was it.
And Cerebro, and like fake Cerebro.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was that one. X3
Phoenix Saga
became X3 became kind of shambolic.
Which they're talking about redoing. Why? Why would you redo it?
Because the Phoenix Saga is a great story in the comic books. And
yeah, but I'm sure
they didn't do it in X3.
I'm sure there's other great stories.
Yeah. So the Phoenix Saga was X3.
Like, what would you say if somebody was remaking the Phantom Menace? You'd be like, yeah, that could be great.
That's true, actually.
But why? Why not just make a new one?
Good.
Make a new story.
Yeah.
Which
remaking
Star Wars are doing pretty well, actually.
Crucially, though, X3 was the third movie all about Wolverine, and that was where it started to die.
Well, yeah, that wasn't a great film, and then it was followed up by X-Men Origins Wolverine,
which was fourth film about Wolverine,
which was clearly going to be X-Men Origins series.
Yes, and everyone hated it,
and
so they
went, no more Origins.
They learned the wrong message. They didn't learn. They were supposed to learn. We're bored of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Make an Origins movie for someone who's not Wolverine.
Yeah.
So what they did was learn. Origins movies don't work and didn't make another one.
Yeah.
And what they did eventually was make another Wolverine movie.
Well,
called The Wolverine.
So after that, we had X-Men First Class.
We had First Class, the best one.
Where they recast everybody except Wolverine, who made a cameo in it.
Yes, we can largely discount that from the continuity, I think, because it was nice. It was a nice little scene, but it didn't have any bearing on the plot or the setting or anything. It was a good scene. I liked it.
Yeah.
Though I get the feeling I like the scene, but I don't like the implication for the movie, because these two people are looking for powerful mutants, and they've worked out what Wolverine's power is, maybe, and he says, "No, I'm not interested," and they don't even try to convince him.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, Wolverine in the comics, Wolverine is one of the most powerful, certainly the most powerful fighter. He has killed Colossus in the comic book.
Wow.
Even though Colossus is X-Men's heavy hitter.
Yeah.
You know, Wolverine has killed every X-Men. X-Men. He's killed the entire X-Man team a couple of times, I think. You know,
Wow.
At one point, I believe when they first find Wolverine in one version of the story, they find him in the Weapon X facility, which looks like it might happen in Apocalypse, and he brutally wounds every one of them and only doesn't kill them because he's not had instructions to kill.
Yeah.
And they don't even try to recruit him.
Yeah.
I think Wolverine could probably have fought Kevin Bacon in that movie and slashed him up.
I agree, but let's face it, it was a really good cameo.
It was a good cameo.
It was one of the
best.
As
a scene, it was good.
It was one of the best non-Stan Lee cameos.
Yes, and it doesn't ruin the movie, because the movie is still my favourite X-Men
And it doesn't ruin any continuity. It's not like,
No.
well, Wolverine should have been in it. No, it was fine for him to be there. You have no idea what's going on.
We don't know how old he is.
Yeah.
Oh.
We don't know if he's got bone claws or adamantium claws.
Speaking of good scenes in bad movies, good scenes in movies, the opening sequence of Wolverine Origins is a great sequence where we see him and Sabretooth and their brotherly connection, their brotherly love, through every war.
And their brotherly love falling out as well.
Yes, we see that within the montage, don't we? Yeah, and we see them fighting their way through
every American
all
war.
The wars, basically.
Every American war for the past few hundred years.
Yeah, and then, of course, in The Wolverine, we see him fighting in Japan in World War II, I think.
Well, that was the next film after First Class.
Yeah.
Where we go to the Wolverine.
Certainly wasn't the worst Wolverine movie.
No.
But it wasn't a great Wolverine movie either.
I don't think it was great, but I think it was just, Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so nobody sort of went in with high expectations, and it wasn't blow you away great, so nobody sort of changed their expectations. I think it was a good movie. If they did that without having X-Men Origins, then that would have been fine. That would have been great. That's Wolverine should.
Except we've had X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, Wolverine Origins, The Wolverine, and Days of Future Past now.
Yeah.
And that's 6 X-Men movies about Wolverine, and one that wasn't about Wolverine, and the one that's not about Wolverine is the really good one.
And so then after The Wolverine, which was great, amazing train scene.
Oh, I love the train scene. The bit where he does a fake out, he looks like he's going to jump, and then the other guy jumps in reaction, but he doesn't, and then the other guy gets smashed by a bridge.
Yeah.
That was really good. There's an ongoing meme online where, person X is such a badass, they will smash you with a blank. Like the Punisher will smash you with another bad guy. The Batman is so nasty and so vicious, he'll make you shoot yourself in your own penis. That kind of thing, He will beat you with a blank. Yeah. Wolverine's the only person I know of who smashed anyone with a bridge. Wolverine is so badass, he'll beat you with a bridge.
Magneto's been close.
He's not beaten anybody with a bridge. He only moves bridges.
So that was the Wolverine, and then we had Days of Future Past.
The next Wolverine movie.
Which was the next... Well,
in the comic books, it's Kitty Pryde that goes back in time, and she's awesome.
Yeah.
Why didn't we have her? Also, why does she have time travel powers now?
I know, it doesn't make any sense. But that film wasn't about Wolverine, it was a story from Wolverine's perspective.
Yes, but he was still the voice of the story, and incidentally, while we're on the subject of recasting people...
it didn't make any sense, because... Like, that film, I think there should have been 2 films before that. There should have been a sequel to First Class to just sort of develop those characters a little bit more and help us understand why Charles Xavier can now walk and has long hair and everything's just, falling apart for him.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have liked to have seen that sort of stuff in a movie. And to have another movie with the older cast where we see how this dystopian world happens.
that deserved 2 extra movies to get to that point.
Yeah, because and that would have been great. And also how Magneto is back with his powers, because that was left as a cliffhanger.
Yes, that's true, at the end of X3.
Yeah, and how Charles Xavier is alive, for one thing.
He's dead!
Yeah, because that was an after-credit scene in X3, wasn't
it? He'd moved himself into someone else's body.
Yeah, but then he was there as
in his own body.
As Patrick Stewart, also paralysed.
That's true. Like, he did have a better chair this time.
It was a better chair, yes. But if you're gonna reincarnate, why are you still paralysed? If you're in somebody else's body, why does that body not work in the exact same way? Yeah. So that didn't make any sense. Like,
that's true. We needed 2 movies to get that.
Yeah,
they tried
and then that would have been a really good conclusion to a trilogy.
Yeah.
It would have. One of those films wouldn't involve Wolverine at all.
Yeah.
The other one, I think, Wolverine might come into it halfway through and wouldn't be like a main character.
Yeah,
It'd just be like, we need help. We need the Wolverine. And then that would go to the after-credit scene of the Wolverine, where you see Magneto and Xavier come meet him in an airport.
Yes, we'd have had James McAvoy's Xavier going from hopeful at the end of First Class to despondent at the beginning of Days of Future Past.
Magneto killing the president.
Yeah, we'd have had Life going to...
Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, we'd have had Life going all wrong for Patrick Stewart. And, he comes back, but everything goes wrong. The Sentinel program, we get to the dystopian future very quickly. Like, it looks like Terminator's future, which took 50 years or something.
It looks like the Matrix future.
Yeah, which took more years than... We don't know how many years. Well, but yeah, it was a future in which people are in concentration camps and the entire world is basically a machine city. That happened somewhere between Patrick Stewart being indeterminately old and still not dead. Feels like if someone was 60 in X-Men 3, they should be dead by the time that future gets made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a great little trilogy of movies.
Yeah, it would have been amazing.
I've had to go at DC for this. They try and rush. They try and have their cake and eat it too. And Days of Future Past was I enjoyed it the first time I watched it.
Well,
This is
Fox. This isn't.
I know, but I've had to go at DC for doing this.
Right.
And Fox are doing this too.
Yeah.
They are rushing. They're trying to get everything together. They tried to merge two universes.
Which is weird because they've got the longest running.
Yeah, and they're still rushing.
The longest running series.
Yeah, they tried. Oh god, yeah, they tried to. Yeah, they got the longest running series with not as many movies as Marvel, but longer.
Yeah. They've got the most films
and they tried to
in
merge,
a series which is current.
And they tried to merge 7 movies. Sorry, they tried to merge a 6-movie, a 5-movie run with a 1-movie run. They tried to merge them both together and made a real mess of it.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a real mess. Just there are a lot of things that could have been better.
Which brings us to Apocalypse.
No, it doesn't. It brings us to Deadpool.
Brings us to Deadpool, which is in that. I think we can discount Deadpool. We've talked about it a lot.
Well,
and B, technically it's in that universe, but it's not in that storyline.
Just got to point out, Deadpool has made more money than all other X-Men films.
Good.
And
maybe they'll learn
about
something.
a tenth of the budget.
Maybe they'll learn from that.
Hopefully they will.
But it brings us to Apocalypse, and what I'm hoping for Apocalypse. This is. I said I was meh about this movie. I wouldn't go see this one if I wasn't recording a podcast about it. I'd wait for the DVD.
I would. I was literally on my way to the cinema yesterday and gave you a call saying, do you want a podcast this week?
I wouldn't go see this if I wasn't recording a podcast about it. But I have a hope. My hope is that this movie will be the next movie after First Class. I hope that I don't see Patrick Stewart in it. I hope that I don't see Ian McKellen in it, as much as I love those two. I hope that in 10 years' time, when I look back on the X-Men films, I can pick Days of Future Past. I can pick First Class and Apocalypse and whatever comes next as a series of 3 movies.
Well, Days of Future Past is the second movie.
Yeah, I don't like that. It makes no sense. It writes itself out of continuity.
Because Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy's contracts are up now.
I want First Class, and then I want to see what happens after First Class, and I want that to be the new X-Men universe. I want to see it was 70s edging into 80s, wasn't it? I want to see what happens throughout the 80s to the X-Men. That would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Give me 5 more movies set in that time period, starting out the X-Men. It's an origin story for the X-Men, and I know I'm sick of origin stories, but this time it could work. And we see the X-Men form. We see Cyclops grow up a bit. We see Jean Grey, who we know is in Apocalypse. Sophie Turner, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
She will grow up and come into her powers. And hey, look, do the Phoenix Saga.
Yeah, it'd be great.
But do it in 5 movies.
Yeah.
Don't do it in 1. And that, if I walk out of this movie going, that was great,
well, you say
then that will probably be what has happened.
They could do the Phoenix Saga in 1 movie. If they did it right,
they
could.
Do it.
They did Civil War in 1 movie, and that was a lot in the comics.
That's true.
And you know what your opinions are about on splitting stories up.
Like they did Hobbit in 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, okay, you could do Phoenix Saga in 1 movie.
I think
you could do
if a story is done well enough, it can be told in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. But yeah, that I think would make a really good world,
like we established last week.
Yeah, that's true. The X-Men universe could be set in the 80s, and it could be really good. And yeah, that's what I want to see from this movie. I want to see them subvert the apocalypse, and I want to see them end it with the prospect of seeing some more movies set in the 80s.
And then just all go and have a massive disco.
Yeah, we don't need... and you can still do your Wolverine solo movie set in 2050, or whatever it is, because we think it's probably Old Man Logan.
Yeah,
you could still do that. But you could run 2 totally separate worlds of, like, Elseworld stories, or future stories, or whatever, with your... Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, if you really want. You could even put him in the 80s, because we know he was there.
Yeah.
But just don't cross him over. Right? Days of Future Past out. Days of Future Past wrote out everything since the first 5 minutes of X-Men 1.
Yeah.
So they clearly don't mind mucking the continuity about like mad.
Yeah.
And
even since that, because Colossus was in Days of Future Past.
Different Colossus.
Colossus to what's in Deadpool.
Yeah, the guy in Days of Future Past wasn't Colossus, he was just called Colossus.
So was the guy in Deadpool.
No, he really was Colossus.
Well, they were both. You can't say that.
Have you read the comic books?
That's continuity gone wrong.
Colossus in the comic books has the striations on the arm.
Yeah.
He is always metal.
Yeah.
And he always looks like he does in Deadpool.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is Fox have messed it up again by doing the character wrong and then just going back and changing
Deadpool.
it with no inspiration.
They did Deadpool wrong as well.
Yeah, but they
kind of fixed that.
Yeah.
But they did Colossus wrong, and now Colossus had some sort of absorbing power, like Creel from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And he already exists in the Marvel.
What a mess. Okay, so we've established...
Oh, here's another thing about Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
You know who else is a major character in Old Man Logan? Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah.
What are they going to do about that?
Dunno, we'll see.
I'm intrigued.
We will see.
Also, I'm pretty sure that Mysterio is involved in Old Man Logan somewhere, and I'm pretty sure that he is owned by Spider-Man. The people who made the Spider-Man movies own Mysterio because they were going to do a Sinister Six movie, and I'm pretty sure he was, if not one of the Sinister Six, then in there.
Yeah, cool.
So they can't do Mysterio.
Nice.
So this Wolverine movie is not going to... It's going to be Old Man Logan with two of the major characters from Old Man Logan not in it.
Great. Okay,
I haven't read Old Man Logan, disclaimer, so I could be wrong on this one. This is based on what I've heard about it.
We need to wrap up so we don't miss our showing.
We do.
So we've fully established that
why is Mystique a main character?
Stop interrupting me.
Sorry, why is Mystique a main character? Is it because they've got Jennifer Lawrence's contract and she's famous now?
I don't know why. They contracted her for 3 movies. I don't know why. Because when they got her, she wasn't massive at that point.
Then Hunger Games.
She was a big actor, but... sorry, Kelly just turned on.
$400 on what? I have to know!
Yeah, so she wasn't a big actor, but they got her and they got her to sign a contract for 3 movies. Why only 3? When Marvel got Samuel L. Jackson signed for 9 movies.
Yeah.
On the basis of you can have an after credits scene in our first movie.
Yeah, it's weird.
And that doesn't even count towards your contract.
Yeah. I don't... They're using Jennifer Lawrence more than they need to. Mystique is a cool character.
She's out now. Unless
this movie is her last movie.
Unless she's very happy and will happily come back, but...
She's going to cost more, surely.
Also, James McAvoy's contract's up. What does that mean?
Yeah, what are they going to do about that?
Reboot?
Look, if they reboot it properly.
No, give it to Marvel.
Or give it back to Marvel.
Yeah.
How good would it be to see Captain America and Wolverine in a movie together?
Yeah. And then they could do Old Man Logan properly.
That's true. Captain America and Wolverine have had so many awesome stories.
Yeah.
You know what I'd love to see?
Yeah.
I would love to see a flashback to a World War II. It could have happened somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Captain America: The First Avenger, where he and Wolverine team up.
Yeah.
But then they wipe Captain America at the end or something to explain why it fits in continuity, and he doesn't remember Wolverine now.
Okay, so
that'd be awesome.
Let's finish up.
We really do need to wrap up now.
We've fully established that the Fox X-Men universe is
a total mess,
just ridiculous, and it needs to just be given back to Marvel or something.
Please give it back.
Let's quickly best actor.
Best actor prediction.
I'm going Michael Fassbender.
He's always good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm probably expecting Sophie Turner to be good, as I mentioned before.
I think she's going to be
Fassbender is generally lovely.
Yeah.
James McAvoy is also a good contender for being always awesome.
Yeah.
I hear he was great in Last King of Scotland.
Sure.
I've not seen that one, but I hear he was really good in it. I don't know. I really can't pick. I'm trying to think. What's the name of the guy who plays Apocalypse?
Poe Dameron?
Poe Dameron, yeah. Oscar Isaacs.
That's it.
I think I mentioned this when we talked about Force Awakens. I called Superstar when I saw him in Sucker Punch. So it would not surprise me if he turns out to be awesome in this, as he was awesome in Sucker Punch, he was awesome.
He does have to act through a lot of makeup and do some very sort of big booming speeches, which is easy. That's easy for anybody to do, so you can't really give him Best Actor for that.
Big booming speeches are not easy for anyone to do, I don't think. Necessarily.
I disagree.
So I'm saying Oscar Isaacs as my tentative pick for Best Actor.
Well, I'm going Fassbender. Right, let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up. Okay, so, see you on the other side.
Yeah, see you in a bit.
We're going to the cinema right now.
Was it the best X-Men movie ever?
No, First Class is still better.
Why?
It's difficult to put my finger on it, but I think First Class was a more tight, more controlled storyline.
I think I'd have liked to watch First Class more recently. Just
yes,
a bit better.
I remember First Class being a more controlled storyline than this one,
mm-hmm.
and this one was without saying any spoilers, because we're going to talk about that later, it was a bit more all over the place. I thought. I felt like I wasn't understanding what Apocalypse's powers were. It didn't seem to...
I kind of got Apocalypse's powers just like general, very powerful, very scary. Like he's got a lot of powers from a lot of different people.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, yeah,
like,
but that was weird as well. It seems like does he jump from body to body often? Is that the only way he gains new powers? Because in the comic books, his power was remaking his body.
I mean, I think that.
But
I think
they
that yes,
took that and then had him steal powers along the way.
I think that like yeah, he doesn't do it often, but he's been doing it for a very long time.
Not for the last 5,500 years.
Well, yes, but a long time before that as well.
There's not been a lot of civilization before that for him to rule. So that is also a bit of an annoyance.
There's been people around.
There's been people
beyond
but
5,000
not
years ago.
civilizations and pyramids and stuff, or buildings.
Yeah.
You know, go another 6,000 years back, and there was basically no buildings taller than a man. So I find it difficult that Apocalypse could have been king of an entire civilization back when people were building mud huts.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
So bit of a flaw there.
So not a flaw, just give us a little bit more.
I didn't need a little bit more. I liked it sort
Just
of being,
about Apocalypse.
being ambiguous. Just he's got some general scary powers. Like you mentioned that about there was a bit of science in it at one point.
Well, yes. See, my rule about science, and I've talked about this before, is you can make new stuff if you want, but don't say anything that we know now currently to be untrue.
Or untrue in that continuity.
Yeah, exactly. Magic A should always be equal to Magic A.
Like how Jurassic World kept their raptors looking like the raptors from Jurassic Park rather than raptors with feathers, which
we now know to be more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you set up your science magic to be, or your magic, or your science, to be a certain thing, then keep it that way. That's why Ant-Man made no sense, because they said we shrink the spaces between atoms. Well, then how come your mass changes and how come you're smaller than an atom at the end?
Yeah.
Very annoying. This one, it talked about the magnetic field of the Earth and what was going on with that, and here's what we expect to happen. And you know, this is an uncontrolled phenomenon. We can only make predictions. We're not even sure what's happening here. That was great. They didn't go into detail and accidentally say a thing that's not true. I mean, you can say things that aren't true if you establish within your continuity that that's a special rule of your unit.
Yeah.
You know, I realise that mutants don't exist, for instance. But with Apocalypse, they gave too much information that then started to either be messy or contradict itself or whatever. If they just said, he is very powerful, then... Like, he's very powerful and he can remake the world as he sees fit. Done. Happy with that. That's a power. You don't have to say he has to jump between bodies and do this, that and the other. I don't need that.
No, I was happy with that. Because then he had
fine.
multiple powers.
Yeah, he's powerful.
Because lots of his powers were different.
Yeah, but he's really powerful and can remake the world as he sees fit. Gives me all I need to believe in any power he ever does.
Also, if
he jumps from body to body and yet looks the same each time,
if he jumps from body to body and keeps that person's power, like the previous body's power, then if he were to jump into somebody with a deformity, somebody like Angel who's got wings, that's his power. He's got wings. That's literally his power. If he were to jump into his body and then jump into somebody else's, would he keep the wings?
Well, that's a good point. Well, in the end, I suppose they needed that because later on he wanted to steal Charles Xavier's power. But they could have made it tidier. Is all I'm saying. It wasn't game breaking. It didn't ruin the movie.
I think it was pretty damn tidy, and I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, though.
Yeah, I disagree on that one. I thought Apocalypse was a bit of a mess. The character, not the movie. He was still a brilliantly scary baddie.
He was, I thought it was a movie that the trailers failed to make it look as exciting as it was, as good a movie as it was.
I agree. The trailers made it look messy.
Yeah, the movie was a lot better than the trailers.
Yeah, I think so. Well, this is the thing. X-Men movies individually are largely quite good. The X-Men universe as a whole at the moment is a total mess.
Yeah, because since watching this, we've found bits in this that don't quite add up to Days of Future Past, which is current continuity.
Well, apparently. Yes, because Days of Future Past deleted everything since
X-Men, apart from X-Men First Class.
Apart from X-Men First Class.
And the earlier bits in Days of Future Past. The 70s bits.
Yes, the 70s bits from Days of Future Past. The
now,
bits that were referenced a lot in Apocalypse. As in, this is what happened in Washington, which was referencing to Days of Future Past. So in my book, if we cut half of Days of Future Past, and cut Wolverine from it, we'd have a nice little half a movie that can slot between these two.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'd have a really good continuity of 2.5 movies. And we can forget the other one.
Now,
forget Wolverine's time travelling malarkey.
One thing that I really didn't like, and this has been a case for Days of Future Past as well, is how much time delay there's been. So X-Men First Class was in the 60s, Days of Future Past was in the 70s, and this one was 10 years later. It was in the 80s, it said 10 years later. So that's confirmed. Why? Also why, and then also, how come nobody looks any older?
Especially Quicksilver.
Like Quicksilver, who still looks like a young man and is still in his mum's basement after 10 years.
Yeah, Quicksilver, who was 20 last time.
He was just about old enough to leave home, I'd say.
Yeah,
like
he was late teens last time, and now he's 10 years older than that.
17 at a push on the young side. He was probably older than that. So he could have left home 10 years later.
He hasn't changed.
And he's still doing the same thing in his mum's basement.
Yeah, like, that's weird.
The film didn't need to be set 10 years after Days of Future Past.
No, it didn't. It could have just been 5 years or 2 years. Or the next week.
Well, no, because there was stuff with Magneto.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Magneto had to have a kid.
Yeah.
And have her grow up to be, 8 or 9 years old.
Oh, I was going to say about 5. But, I mean, even...
She was cool. I liked her.
Even so, that could have been done in a much shorter space of time.
He could have had an infant.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the kid could have been a lot younger.
He could have just had a wife. He didn't need to have a kid. We would have... Later on, the emotional weight of his having lost his family could have been him having lost his wife.
Yeah, that could have just been it.
Could have been just as good.
But then they did make it about how he lost his parents, like in the first film.
Yeah.
In Auschwitz, and then he's just lost his kid as well. So it's like generation above everything. And below.
Yeah, he really has lost everything in the end.
Yeah.
At what point are we going to have to say that Charles is being a bit of an idiot for constantly forgiving him?
Yeah, I know.
Because he keeps murdering people.
I know.
I know he's troubled, and I know he's lost, but that doesn't make it okay to keep murdering people.
I know. Yeah, it's...
his actions in this movie don't make it okay for him to keep murdering all the people he murders in all the movie he murders people in. Damn it, Magneto.
Well, I think that Magneto got the best actor from me. He was what I guess was going to be the best actor, and I'm sticking with it.
I thought Oscar Isaac still did a good job, but I thought
Isaac. There's no S on the end.
Oh, okay. Oscar Isaac. I think he did a very good job. However, my hedging was for Sophie Turner, and I do think she did a really good job. I think she nailed it. And I had to look this up, but she is English, which is why the accent put me off early on. Not just because I've seen her in Game of Thrones, but because she's English, and I think I may have known that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think she did a really good job. I think she might be one to watch for a while.
Yeah, I think she'll be one to watch.
Also, if they keep making movies like this in the X-Men universe, which I think they should, follow this continuity, not the future time, or the present day, or whatever, then she will be Jean Grey for a long time, and I would accept that. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be good. I think we're done with the spoiler-free section.
Final recommendation?
I would watch it again when it comes out on DVD.
I would watch this again only as part of a let's watch all the X-Men movies.
Yeah, it'll be a while before I watch this again.
I'll watch First Class and then this.
Like, I'm not really looking forward to watch this again on DVD, like with Deadpool, Batman, Superman, and Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, when this comes out on DVD, I won't rush to buy it, but I will probably watch Days of Future Past. No, yeah, I will watch First Class and then this again. The only two X-Men movies that there are.
I think that I'll probably watch this at the time that it premieres on Film 4 or something. So
what's that?
Because that'll be like 2 or 3 years away, probably.
The next X-Men movie, I might... the next X-Men movie is Wolverine. Probably won't watch it for that. The next X-Men movie that follows the continuity
I think that'll be about 2 years from now.
Yeah, then I'll probably watch First Class and this, and in prep for that. So
well,
yeah.
I don't know if this.
I would watch again, but I would recommend going to see it at the cinema as well. But I wouldn't go see it again.
Well, I'm not sure if this is closing off a trilogy. I don't know if.
I hope not, because the second one in this trilogy was pants.
Yeah, and this one just really. One thing I really liked about this was how it just brought in new characters and gave you not necessarily good backstory, but just good character building. Like,
yeah.
Look at Cyclops. He was arguably the main character in this film.
He was good.
He had a really big.
I liked how they did his power as well. It wasn't a laser like it was in the previous one, which is wrong.
A laser that just goes through everything instantly.
Yeah, because he doesn't shoot lasers or heat vision. He shoots concussive blasts. In the comic book, he shoots concussive blasts, which are generated from an alternate reality or something, or a different dimension.
Cool.
And
sounds like
in
a
this,
lot.
they got concussive energy. I think it was. They still seem to have a bit of a heat aspect to them, the ability to boil water and burn stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, it seemed like concussive, damaging blasts rather than lasers.
Yeah.
Which is what it had been before. And I kind of like that.
Oh, what did you think of Quicksilver's main scene?
I enjoyed it. It was better than the previous film.
Do you think it was better? I was going to ask you.
I thought it was much better than Days of Future Past's one.
I thought Days of Future Past was done phenomenally well.
Yeah, however, in this movie,
incredible.
We won't talk about it until post spoilers, but I thought it was contrived.
Okay.
I will use the term contrived. It was just a bit convenient that he was where he was for the thing that happened at that time.
I agree completely. I mean, they can't. No, there's no way around it. It was convenient.
If he'd been watching a TV, take note, Bryan Singer. He could have been watching a live TV broadcast of something happening and seen the beginning of the event that happened and decided, right, I have to go there. And he could have run there in a few seconds from wherever he was in the country to wherever he needed to be and then done the thing he did. Rather than be there by sheer convenience and because of plot. It pulled me right out of the movie and made that scene very silly.
Yeah, because
even though it was an awesome scene.
If he'd have turned up literally 1 second later,
yeah,
it just wouldn't have gone down the same. And like that was nothing to do with his running speed. Like if he'd have just set off 1 second later, like if he'd just tried to finish a level on Pac-Man or something.
Yeah.
Or just finish watching the news.
Exactly.
Or just finish a conversation with his mum, or maybe he stopped for a drink on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything.
Maybe he took a pee break while running.
Yeah.
Then that thing.
I reckon he goes as he runs. I reckon he's got a system.
Yeah, maybe. Just run sideways for a while. Who's gonna know?
Yeah.
Who's gonna see him?
Yeah. Okay, let's do spoilers.
Okay. So yes, final recommendation. It's okay, pretty good.
I'd go
watch it once.
Yeah, I'd certainly recommend watching it. If you fancy going to the cinema at the moment, then yeah,
it's a good watch.
That's the one to watch in the cinema right now. But don't feel you need to watch it in the cinema. It's not the end of the world if you wait for it to come out.
Very good. Apocalypse. Yeah, alright, spoilers from here.
Yeah, spoilers from now.
So don't listen on unless you have seen this movie. We're talking spoilers. So, Quicksilver, that scene that we just finished talking about.
Let's talk about it a little bit more. So
the exploding Xavier's school.
Like, I didn't actually see that coming that way. Like, when they introduced the jet, that
then subsequently exploded.
Yeah, I thought that jet was going to be a big part of it.
Yeah.
And because you said, it's got that and that and that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
and then they blew it up.
So that means by James Bond rules, we're going to say all three of those rules come into play at some point.
Yeah, and it didn't.
And it didn't at all.
It wasn't. Yeah, Chekhov's Blackbird did not ever fly. It got blown up immediately by Havoc. And yes, then Quicksilver saves everybody, and it was
apart
good.
From Havoc.
Apart from Havoc. Quicksilver saves everybody apart from Havoc, and then.
It was still a really good scene.
It was a great scene.
It was great to do the music like that, and it was
I can't remember what the music was, but I remember
Sweet Dreams.
Sweet Dreams by what's her face?
Annie Lennox.
Yes.
And it was almost a comedy, that scene.
It was. Quicksilver scenes always are.
Yeah.
And it took me out of the movie a bit because of the aforementioned silliness of his arrival.
Oh, I just sort of let that slide. Like, it happened.
It was a good scene.
But I just sort of put it behind me so I could enjoy the rest of the scene.
Like I was saying, X-Men movies individually are good. The entire continuity is a total mess. That scene was very good.
Yeah.
Its position in the movie was a mess.
Yeah.
It was poorly positioned and poorly set up.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they came up with the idea for that scene and desperately tried to write it into the script, and I think it shows.
Yeah.
People say this about computer games all the time. They invent a scene and then force your playstyle into that scene and then end up taking control away from you to make you watch the scene.
Yeah, I get it.
It felt like that. It took me right out of the movie for a minute.
But I found that to be... No, I don't know. Yeah, because no other parts in the movie were really funny. I don't know, there were some bits with Xavier, like, flirting and stuff.
I thought that was good.
That was
Xavier and Moira together was a good combination. I enjoyed that. I'm going to check her out. Check it out. Really enjoyed that. But yeah, it was... I did like destroy Cerebro. That was good.
Yeah.
But that brings us to another glaring thing. In your opinion, Harry, what was Apocalypse's end game? What was he working towards?
To rule the world?
By first...
destroying most of it.
Right. So when he had control of all of the nuclear weapons on the Earth, what did he do with them? He fired them into space. Why didn't he fire them at the Earth, therefore achieving his goal?
Because maybe he wouldn't be able to survive like that.
We know he can survive basically anything.
Well, he couldn't survive the Phoenix at the end.
The Phoenix is more powerful than all the nuclear bombs on the Earth. But his end game was to destroy the world using, well, kind of Magneto's power. We'll get to that again in a minute.
Yeah.
But he had access to all the nuclear bombs, and I know that he didn't expect that. That wasn't part of his plan. When Charles gets into his brain, he's like, ooh, look, I've got access to this power now. So he makes everybody fire the nukes. He must have been able... Like, those nukes aren't always pointing at space. Those nukes are always, haven't got coordinates. You need to set coordinates. He set coordinates for shoot them into space. Why didn't he set coordinates for... Why didn't he just cause them all to be detonated in their bunkers? He probably could have done that. Didn't even need to launch them. He would have achieved, halfway through Act 2 of this movie, he would have achieved his end game, and there was no way anyone could have stopped him, and he would have won.
Yeah, why was he trying to kill everybody at the end, or get Magneto to do it? Why?
Well, his idea was to wipe out the weak so the strong survive, and then he was going to use Xavier's power to make the strong follow him and set himself up as a new king of the world.
Okay.
But he could have nuked everybody and then controlled the survivors.
Yeah, he could have done.
You know, it means, like, when he got control of Cerebro, he could have, instead of, I now control all the nukes in the world, could have just gone with, now I've seen Charles. Ooh, what if I steal his power?
Also, you should have detonated those nukes. Because, like, somebody could just go up to space and get them down.
Well, yeah, that would take too long.
Well,
but, I mean,
well, no, like, it's not taking away the human superpower. Now they're just going to go to space and get them down.
I assumed that...
And whoever gets up there first, whoever's got the best space program, will get most of them.
Yeah. Like, the internal... different space race.
Like, regardless of what country made that nuke.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrible. the internal consistency was just weird. Like, because also, once he realised Xavier's power, he could have used Xavier to make everyone love him, etc., etc., and that was his plan, so that no one ever tries to usurp him. Like Charles said, you set yourself up as a god, and someone will usurp you, someone will rebel. And right at the end, they were saying, and I loved this, if he gets Xavier, he gets us all. Like, that was cool.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting Charles to try and kill himself.
Yeah.
Like, I will not let him have my power, and just grab a gun, and then someone grab the gun.
What do you think of the plot of how he became bald?
I like that. Thought that was good. It's better than Batman. It's better than Superman breathing chemicals on him.
Well,
he could have been really mad at Superman for the rest of the movie then.
I still didn't like it. It didn't make it enough for me.
He started to look a bit like Apocalypse. I thought
really did.
Yeah,
like a lot, which was good. Which was very good.
But also,
I don't like any plot where somebody becomes bald. I just don't see the point in it. Just he gets old and his hair falls out. It's natural. It happens to people. That's all the plot I need.
That's true. I would have accepted that.
I didn't need any kind of supernatural plot to like, oh, now he's bald because that happened. No, I don't need any of that. Just, he's a bald man.
He is old now. He is bald.
Yeah.
Also, he's played by Patrick Stewart, so he's bald.
Yeah. Because
Patrick Stewart is bald.
I mean, he was bald on comics.
I mean,
but yeah.
That's true. Yes. But also Magneto. He used Magneto to try and ruin the world and knock down all the buildings and stuff.
Gotta say, after this, somebody should kill Magneto. Like,
somebody should kill Magneto.
I know.
With a stick.
I know it might not be. No. Just put him down. It might not be morally right, but he's killed a lot of people, and in this, he would have killed thousands, if not millions, of people.
We
with the amount of
talked about this
destruction.
at the beginning. How come Charles? I mean, everyone should get a second chance, but Magneto's had like 5. Now.
It's not even about a second chance after doing something like that, because he wasn't even like mind controlled. He
just did it.
He was just swayed, and he's killed thousands or millions of people.
And quite a few not just. I mean, that's kind
And
of
like, yes, he helped take down a force that was trying to destroy and rule the entire planet, but
that doesn't make it okay.
no, like,
Yeah,
he
I get why
he
we
really
can,
should be put down.
I get why we can forgive Storm.
Yeah,
She was tricked. Magneto wasn't tricked. He just decided to do it because he's Magneto.
He was
and
talked
he's
into
a
it.
murderer.
he was tucked into.
Yeah, it's not okay, Magneto. Stop forgiving him. Give people a second chance, sure. Magneto's had a lot more than 2.
It's not even a second chance. You kill that many people, you don't get a second chance.
Xavier wants him to have one. This is why Xavier should mind control him. I know Xavier's good and he doesn't want to mind control people and he doesn't want to force anyone to do anything. Force Magneto to do something. Put a mental block in him, like in Clockwork Orange, so that he can't kill anyone with his powers ever. Just in case.
Also, I did like a little bit in when we saw New York just sort of evaporating slowly, which reminded me a lot of the Independence Day trailers.
Yes.
Gotta say.
Ooh,
Yes. But I did also like that the Twin Towers were in the background.
Yes,
I
they really are there.
nearly leant over to you and said, "Oh, they made a mistake.
They're
They've got the
still
twin-"
there.
Oh no, it's in the 80s. It's in the 80s.
Yeah. But then, what was the thing at the end? Magneto's power was supposed to be wiping out the world, knocking all the buildings down and stuff. Apocalypse could do that himself.
Could Apocalypse do that?
Yeah, we watched him smash entire cities down and
Oh, yeah, of course,
knock
yeah.
stuff over.
Yeah.
It might have taken him longer, but also, I know he wants the followers because he wants the 4 horsemen, etc., etc. But so he couldn't. So him killing Magneto and stealing his power makes no sense. But again, that messiness of his power, could he just do that?
Yeah.
Or maybe not. But we know Apocalypse could have done that without Magneto. So why didn't he?
What do you think?
That was weird. It's like we got Magneto for no real reason. Though I did like the bit at the end where Magneto threw basically an entire city at Apocalypse.
Yeah, that was good.
Gradually, but
it didn't have any effect whatsoever.
Oh no, it did. It
Might have slowed him down a bit, distracted him or something, but...
Yeah, it was a combination of throwing an entire city at him, Cyclops' death beams, and Jean Grey going Mega Phoenix, which was so good. And Storm. I thought that was weird. I felt like we were going to see Storm just do something big, and then we just saw her go zappy zap for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like we saw her joining the team.
I think that she's a very underwhelming character. I
think she's good now.
I found it in the original ones. I found it in this one.
Because Halle Berry's not very good?
It could be, yeah.
I like the fact that this Storm has an accent that is not American.
Well, so did Halle Berry in the first X-Men.
Yes, that's true.
Only.
That was weird. Yeah. I don't know who the actress was, but maybe she is
was really
herself
good.
African rather than African American.
No idea.
Because I thought she was really good. I liked her accent. I liked the fact that she has Storm's history. Storm was worshipped as a god for a while in her youth. And I don't know, we didn't see that obviously, but I believe that could have happened. Whereas Halle Berry's I didn't.
What did you think of the Star Wars reference?
The Jedi. Yes, I liked the dig at the third movie's always pants.
That was very on the
That
nose.
was the one that Bryan Singer didn't direct.
Because that was Jean Grey saying that as well.
Oh god, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, I missed that. Yes, it was Jean Grey saying the third movie's always rubbish.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't spoil Star Wars.
Just to be clear, the third X-Men movie was about Jean Grey. It was the Phoenix Saga, and it was
kind of
heavily the Phoenix Saga.
Not if you know the story.
And
the
it
Phoenix
was
Saga,
not directed by Bryan Singer.
Yeah, so now he's going to do it properly.
Yeah, I wonder.
I hope so. But I liked that. I liked the interaction. I liked, even though I think Mystique is not supposed to be in it as much, I thought she worked really well as someone to rally the team around and stuff.
Yeah, she was good like that.
Though Cyclops is supposed to be the leader.
Well, I mean, he was...
I know, but why isn't Cyclops the leader? They could have aged him up a bit.
I think this was very much Cyclops' origin story, which I liked.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe the next movie is Cyclops going on to take a leadership role.
Yeah.
And becoming the leader of the X-Men. Because Charles Xavier is the leader of the mutant group or what have you, but the team leader of the X-Men
fighting team
is Cyclops. Yeah, he is the team leader. In fact, whenever Charles Xavier goes out,
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Cyclops is the head of the team.
I'm fine with that being different.
I think the next one should have Cyclops in it.
Well,
as the main
in it, but I don't
leader.
think as the main leader, because also we've got Hank.
He's also another leader. I like.
Yeah, but like
also we don't have any explanation.
His character in this is a lot more.
That's true.
He's grown up. Like he's a teacher at the school.
That's true.
Cyclops literally just
But if we
joined
go
the school.
10 years on though, if
90s.
we go 10 years on again, then we'll have Cyclops old enough to take on a leadership role, and we will have the Mystique and Beast probably retiring. But we don't know what about Mystique's aging, because she doesn't look any older in
Neither does anybody.
X-Men 1.
So
Magneto does.
my biggest problem with this movie was that there was a big lack of discos. No, I'm joking.
It was the 80s, so there weren't enough discos.
No, my biggest problem with this movie, I think you might be the same, was spoiled in the trailers.
Yes, it spoiled it in the trailers.
Which if it didn't do that, it would have been a great part of the movie. It would have been
so exciting.
Amazing.
We would have exploded. The cinema would have exploded.
Yeah, so we're talking about
metaphorically, the other one.
Yeah, we're talking about Wolverine.
We had some help. Yeah, it was great.
Because like the way they introduced him, it was like there's a cage, you can't see what's in it, you can hear like a monster, and it was like, is that a monster in there? What is it?
Yeah, and we were just it's Wolverine.
And they were like, oh, we'll just let it out for no reason.
That was a bit stupid.
A distraction maybe for all the security guards.
Yeah,
I'll give them that. And then you saw like this, definitely a person come out like feet first,
and you'd have been like,
and
oh my god,
what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's this going to be? And then it goes up, and you see his claws come out, and that would have been
and then
what?
Then he did some Wolverining. We haven't seen him go full Wolverine.
That was good Wolverine.
I don't think ever. I think that was the best Wolverine.
We've seen him in some of the earlier X-Men, but he wasn't really muscly.
I think that was one of the most That was one of the most prolonged.
That was one of the most prolonged. That was with the most blood. And that was very much like, oh my god, he'd been let loose. He's killed everybody.
And stabbing and being full of bullets.
Yeah.
And then
you didn't even see him heal once. Like you didn't see him.
I think we did. I think when he pulled one of the things out of himself at the end.
Ah, yeah.
And then he closed up. But yeah, it didn't explain his healing.
There was blood everywhere, which I kind of like that in modern movies, how they don't hide blood anymore.
Yeah, that's good.
Like when you get an injury, there's blood.
And then it finishes with him taking off the helmet, which is quite true to the comics. I like that. And running off into the woods.
Well, he didn't take it off.
Someone took it off.
Gene
took it off for him.
And then he
runs off into the woods. And Cyclops, I think, said, I don't think we'll ever see him again.
Yeah.
Like, 7 movies worth. Oh God, we'll see a lot of him. But yeah, I guess that was good.
That was their way of saying Hugh Jackman's leaving.
Yeah, but
because they're not gonna see him again.
Which version of Wolverine popping out of the Weapon X program is the real one? It must be this one. But
the real one.
In X-Men Origins, we saw him escape the Weapon X program immediately after getting adamantium in him.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and in this one, he must have been there for a long time, several days at least, but maybe years between adamantium and escape.
I'm happy to ignore it because
X-Men Origins Wolverine is a pants movie and should be deleted from history.
Yeah, and this version of Wolverine's origin was pretty good. Like it was fine. It wasn't outstanding. It wasn't bad. It was good.
It was ruined by the trailer, but
it was ruined by the trailer.
Good in movie terms.
Also, like there was time travel in the last movie. It was reset a lot of things, so we can let it pass, and we don't really need to look into it.
If there are only 2.5 X-Men movies, then it's flawless as an opening for Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
However, if there are 7 X-Men movies, then it's terrible and it makes a mess. Because, like, why has Wolverine lost his memory? Is it because he's got an adamantium bullet shot through his brain? Or is it because he was sent back in time and ruined by Charles Xavier / Kitty Pryde's multiple weird powers? You know, spooky powers. I don't care that she can walk through walls. That's brilliant. I buy it.
Yeah.
Why can she send someone back in time?
Yeah.
If they had a guy whose name was Clockman, who had the ability to send people back in time, that would have been fine.
Is this another James Bond villain?
No, it's a character from Rick and Morty. No, if they had Clockman, whose ability was time travel based, and they used him to send back Wolverine, fine.
Yeah.
Kitty Pryde doesn't have that power. Kitty Pryde was sent back in time by somebody else's power in the comic book. And Kitty Pryde's awesome.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, it's just... Sort yourselves out. This works really well if they don't make a mess of it. Old Man Logan, is that going to be from the continuity of after this movie? Or is it going to be the continuity of after the Wolverine? When he loses his powers, gains his powers, then has his claws sawn off.
Yeah, well, that was just...
And then they grow back, but not with adamantium. Like,
But then,
it's the old man...
Then in Days of Future Past, they have adamantium again. Why?
And then, of course, he goes back in time to when he doesn't have adamantium. So it's not... Wait, do we see him... Yes, we do see him expose his claws because he stabs Kitty Pryde up.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? Yes. So, like I said before, X-Men movies are individually quite good, and as a whole, total mess.
Yeah, continuity is
It's
just
really
all over
annoying.
the place.
Why did they ruin that Wolverine was in this movie? It would have been so good. We had a bit of help. That would have been amazing. In one of the versions of them, the first time we meet Wolverine, he slashes up the entire X-Men team. In this one, the X-Men team release him and unleash him on the baddies. That was great. Also, why is Mystique always somebody at the end of movies? Yeah. And then they forget about it by the next one.
Yeah,
because you pointed this out. At the end of Days of Future Past, Stryker gets Wolverine out of the sea, or the river even, where he's been dumped by Magneto at the end. And Stryker then takes him off to the Weapon X program, which is fine, because then you can put adamantium in him and we meet him in this movie in Apocalypse. Fine. Except Stryker is Mystique at the end of that movie. So Stryker doesn't have Wolverine, Mystique does.
And so in some 10-year gap, Stryker gets Wolverine.
So, well, maybe 5 years later, she stops being Stryker and Stryker turns up again and says, "Oh look, we've got this Wolverine guy."
But no.
Does she pretend to be Stryker and take him all the way to that facility, and then stops being Stryker when Stryker turns up? He's like, "Oh, I work at this facility.
Yeah.
Hey, look, what's arrived?" And someone fills him in on the last few months of his own life.
And then also the after-credit scene of Days of Future Past,
when
you see Apocalypse
building pyramids.
That was Apocalypse reveal. That was saying what the next film's going to be, and I was like, wow, that's really good. That's great.
Except he builds pyramids which could be easily collapsed on his own head.
Yeah, which I gotta say, outstanding opening scene.
I really liked it.
I found it amazing.
I enjoyed that. I liked the sort of subversive warriors kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because people will always rebel against absolute power. And I thought that was great with Xavier's thing as well, when he was giving Apocalypse's message that the strong will survive and the weak will perish.
Yeah.
And Charles changed it to the strong will survive and protect the weak. I thought that was amazing. It was a massive poke in the eye for Apocalypse's plan. And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And the whole last, half hour or so was the X-Men doing good X-Mening.
It really was. It was proper team building.
Yeah, teaming up and fighting people.
And the ones that had been turned evil, sort of one by one, turning back. And often individual fights, which was good, and then turning back and sort of joining the team.
Yeah, and we saw Psylocke sidle off at the end. That would be cool to see her back later.
Yeah.
See what she does. It'll be interesting to catch up with Storm in the next movie and see if there's any fallout from that, someone like Cyclops saying, "We know what you did in Cairo," or whatever, and being mad at her for a while.
She was at the school at the end.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but there might still be some
saying, "I'll probably stick around."
Yeah, but there might still be some kind of bad blood or something, and they might not trust her, and that might be an interesting little interplay for a while.
She was mind controlled. She was actually mind controlled.
No, she wasn't. He doesn't have mind control powers.
She was the first person he mind controlled.
No, he upgraded her power. He has the ability to boost people's powers.
Oh, does he not mind control?
I don't think he can straight up mind control people.
Oh, I got that.
Because he said that to Charles. He said, that's the one thing I've not been able to do. I've not been able to get in their minds. I can block you from getting into theirs, but I cannot get in their minds. He just tricks them. He gives them power and tricks them into following him. Or, alternatively, in the case of Psylocke and possibly Angel, they're just straight up evil.
What was Magneto doing at the end? When they're all having that final battle and they were beating him, before Magneto joined in with that, what was he doing?
Oh,
he had that sort of
he was doing the worldwide magnetic death.
But why?
Because Apocalypse had told him to. He could have broken... You'd think that if he'd broken off and just killed the X-Men, he could have then got back to it.
Yeah.
If he was really... maybe he doubted. Maybe he was doubting Apocalypse's plan. So he was just like, look, maybe he was like partly thinking, maybe I'll just let the X-Men win or something. I don't know. Magneto.
Also, Quicksilver. I know like emotions and stuff, but Quicksilver just saying "I'm your son" could have stopped him straight away. Would have saved thousands or millions of lives.
Yeah, every second that Magneto was doing what he was doing was probably killing people.
Yeah,
lots of them.
So just say, stop, I'm your son, you have family, I'm right here.
Yeah, please stop murdering people.
Come and give me a hug, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It was... Also, had Magneto put a shelf next to him so that they could stand there?
Yeah.
Like, what was... Because he was floating in like a ball of ball bearings or whatever, and I did like the shapes. They were forming accurate magnetic shapes around him as if he was himself a magnet, which was cool.
Although their uniforms,
I liked the
armor, yeah, that was good.
I like them.
But surely they had metal in them.
Yeah, Magneto could have killed them if he wanted.
Not just that, but they should have been like taken by the magnetic
fields.
fields.
Oh no, he can control which bits of metal are and aren't. You know, but
they were on the other side, so why wouldn't he just like
kill them? Well, because he was, I don't know, he was doubting the process. If he wanted to kill them, he could have done, but he didn't. It was also that scientist who pops up to explain the magnetic phenomenon. One thing he said that I thought was hilarious. Welcome to Ross's Science Corner, by the way. Was he's getting all the metallic elements from out of the earth: iron, nickel, cobalt. Yes, that is all of them. That's all of the magnetic elements, basically. So well done. Like Magneto's power isn't really magnetism either. It's control of metal.
Yeah.
Because we've already established that he can control metals that aren't ferromagnetic. Iron, nickel, and cobalt are the only three magnetic materials. So he doesn't generate magnetic fields. He controls metal. Otherwise, instead of making plastic guns in X-Men 3, they'd have made titanium guns instead.
Yeah.
Which he produced. Like, I know, like, he can... Almost all of metal you see is probably iron to some extent. But aluminium is also very common.
Yeah.
And you can make guns out of loads of different metals.
And very pure as well.
Yeah. In fact, bullets, incidentally, most bullets made of lead.
Oh, yeah.
So, Magneto can't stop bullets unless he has power over metal instead of power over magnetism.
No, it's just metal.
But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with calling him Magneto, because Metallo doesn't sound quite right, and he's also already taken, I think. Metallo was a robot that killed Superman, I believe.
You got much else to say?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I'm done.
It's a bit of a mess, but it's a good film.
It was a good film overall. I really enjoyed
my way
it
through the movie.
Yeah. It was... Now, how does it rank compared to other X-Men films? Where does
Difficult to say, because it's like... It is... Of the two X-Men films in this continuity...
Let's singular. Single them out. How does it go? So no continuity or anything.
Of all the X-Men movies.
Like, compare this to X-Men 1.
It's so hard to say, because as a continuity they're a total mess, but as individual movies they're all quite good. I would say this was... X1 might be one of my favourites. First Class is my favourite by a reasonably long way. Wolverine Origins is the worst by a reasonably long way. And middle? Apocalypse is the middle.
Now,
It was better than Days of Future Past, but not as good as X2 or X1 or First Class.
I don't really like the old trilogy because it's dated. That's all. That's the only reason. It's dated, and when you put it against more modern films, it just doesn't stand up. It's like how we reviewed Citizen Kane.
Yeah, that's true.
It was probably great at its time, but it's not right now. So that's how I feel with X-Men. The first X-Men was great for its time because there was nothing like it. And then X2, it was a great follow-up.
Yeah.
But now, if you look at it compared to so many other films, Avengers, for example,
it's got to be compared to Avengers now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That is the example.
And this one stands up. I'm not going to say it's as good as Avengers, but it's... Yeah, so I would say that for me, it's this, First Class. Days of Future Past I like, but I've just got so many problems with it.
What you're saying about current movies, though, modern movies, I think you can compare them to old ones in a similar way. But modern movies try so hard, so often anyway, especially blockbusters, they try so hard to be so big and complex and convoluted and have a message, but maybe have lots of messages. And some movies just don't need to be as big or as flashy as they used to be. Well, look at what we watched last week, or last episode, Run Lola Run. Really tight, really controlled, really good movie. I cannot see a movie being made like that in 2016.
Okay, well, we really should watch a film called Green Room. It's a film. I don't know if it's a blockbuster, but I know it's an action movie. But it's all set in one room, and it's got a super low budget.
Might enjoy that.
It's been getting some really good reviews, and that might be the film that you're saying isn't coming out in 2016.
Yeah,
but has
maybe.
come out in 2016.
Yeah,
so,
maybe. I'd like to be proved wrong on this one.
Yeah, so
it's like I say about James Bond. There are no James Bond movies anymore. There are only Jason Bourne movies. Jason Bourne movies starring Daniel Craig as James Bond as Jason Bourne. But I lament the loss of James Bond. Not that James Bond is not good movies anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just it's not James Bond movies anymore.
Okay, so I think that
the first X-Men movie is so far removed from this X-Men movie. I enjoy both, but it seems like we can't have both anymore. Well, but let's watch Green Room.
Yeah, let's make that our next movie that we watch, unless there's anything in the cinema that is pressing.
Yeah.
You know, because if it's cinema films, I like to get them out fairly close to the release date.
Yes, I agree. Speaking of cinema, well, I think that about wraps up what we're going to say about Apocalypse. So, trailers. I am on board with Independence Day.
Oh yeah, that was...
The next one we're going to watch in the cinema might well be that.
Might be. I'm not sure. That comes out the end of June. There might be some films before that.
I was very sceptical when I saw the first couple of trailers. Mm-hmm. This trailer has sold me on it somewhat. Mm. It's set as many years later as the movie is, as it were. Mm-hmm. So it kind of fits timeline-wise.
Weirdly, nobody looks like they've aged. Of the cast,
except everybody has aged.
Oh, but Jeff Goldblum, he's
except everybody, and the president guy, Bill something, has a nice big beard.
He's got a beard, but that's all. And then the other guy,
Brent Spiner, who I'm pretty sure died in the first one.
I know everybody thinks he did, but I don't think he did. I need
he
to
got
watch
slammed
it again.
up against that glass and had his throat cut. No, he was choked to death, wasn't he?
Well, we'll have to watch it and find out.
We'll have to watch it and find out. But I am on board with this one now. We've trained a generation to believe that we can win this. Mm-hmm. I actually think that that's a meta commentary on how we've trained an entire generation on movies like Independence Day, that we can beat aliens.
Yeah, yeah.
It strikes me really a lot of Ender's Game, actually. Except in Ender's Game, we only found out about the third war against the Formics, whereas in Independence Day, we found about the first and the second.
Yeah.
And we've been preparing for this war ever since. Feels very Ender's Game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm on board. I think it might be a good second movie. They're not rebooting. They're not... It's a sequel set 20 years later, made 20 years later. I think that might be good.
Yeah.
With a lot of the original cast, playing the original characters, with the original verve and passion for it, it seems.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Ghostbusters.
Well... X-Men had bad trailers. You weren't looking forward to X-Men, but now you're glad you've seen it.
I am, but Ghostbusters
doesn't look like it's gonna do as good a job as X-Men has as being better at the trailers. But we'll see.
Who was the receptionist guy who cropped up in the trailer?
Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Chris Hemsworth. Thor pops up, and it doesn't do well for me looking like a sexist, but. The fact that he was the only good thing in that trailer makes me look like a sexist because he's the only guy in the trailer and he was funny and I liked it.
Of the jokes that happened in the trailer, his was the only good one.
His was only... there were jokes that weren't his?
Well, yeah, there was...
there was that one that I thought was a bit racist. The
black lady...
Jumping into a crowd and not being caught.
Nobody catched her, so I don't know if that was a race thing or a woman thing.
Yeah, and I can't tell if that's... Was that joke itself racist and sexist at the same time?
No.
Look how non-racist and non-sexist we are.
Well, no, because it wasn't saying anything. It was just...
Good point.
It was just everybody abandoned her, and she was like, why did you abandon me?
Yeah, it's just meta-analysis of your own race and sex things just draws attention to it in a way that just seems really odd.
It does draw attention to it, yeah, and it doesn't necessarily need to draw attention to it. Although, let's face it, for a cast that is a reboot that has switched the genders of all the cast, it's doing pretty well at not saying, and we're women, we can do this.
I think they did. I think they did that too much.
No, not at all. Because that was the only...
Because they flipped the gender of the receptionist as well, which I thought was consistent at least. But yeah, it just looks like, why not create a big budget sci-fi movie with a bunch of female leads in it and make an original movie with a bunch of strong female characters. People are saying, oh, it's good for sci-fi because it's putting a bunch of female characters in the lead roles. I mean, yes, but it's women playing the roles that were originally played by men.
They do a few every now and then. There was Lucy with Scarlett Johansson.
I hear that's really good.
There was Star Wars recently.
Yes, that is really good.
I can't think of any others, but there's two straight away.
Yeah, it's a start, but I don't think you're suddenly empowering women by having a bunch of women play the roles that were originally played by men and nick the characters, as it were. Why not have them be their own characters? Why not write a movie in which women are the main characters and they're their own characters rather than gender-flipped versions of male characters? To me, it looks like...
Well, I mean, they are their own characters. Like, yes, it was 4 people in the first 2 films. It's 4 people in this film, but they're not filling the same roles.
They really are, I think.
No, they're not. They're not, because if you look at how each 4 of the male characters played their roles, because like there was, oh my god, I've forgotten his name. The main guy,
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Like, there's nobody who looks like they're doing a Bill Murray. There's nobody who looks like they're playing one of the other characters.
Is doing a Bill Murray.
No,
and I think that Kristen Wiig is doing a Dan Aykroyd, and I think the girl with the goggles, I think she's doing the other one. And the black lady is definitely doing a Winston Zeddemore. That is pretty clear. She's the streetwise one who's not a scientist. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's clamouring to say it's not sexist, but is it maybe racist? You know.
I think we've actually talked about this.
We may have done. It's just, this trailer bugs me. It's not because they're women. Don't tell me I'm a sexist. It just create and like you said, Lucy, Star Wars. It's possible to have a sci-fi movie with female characters in it. That's awesome. You don't have to gender swap to have female characters. Just make a female character.
You're repeating your rants.
I know. I'm repeating my rants. Look, this movie looks awful. It's not because it's got women in it. It just looks awful. Also, I really don't like Melissa McCarthy. I don't think she's funny.
Yeah, me neither.
Kristen Wiig, I love. I think she's great.
Any other trailers you particularly enjoyed? We had
I can't remember.
TMNT.
Yeah.
Looks
like a nothing movie.
Doesn't it?
It looks like it's got some fun action
scenes. It's not aimed at our age.
I don't think so.
No.
It's got some fun action scenes in it, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a nothing movie. It's just empty, I think. And yeah, I feel like it really missed the point with the Turtles. And Shredder. They missed the point of Shredder as well. And they missed the point of Splinter. Actually, is Shredder even in this? We haven't seen Shredder in this one.
I don't think so.
They missed the point of Shredder in the last one.
I don't really know any of the characters.
And in the previous one, Splinter, instead of being a wise and peaceful master and father, he was instead some sort of weird psychotic torturer. Kind of missed the point on that one too.
Any more trailers, or are we done?
I really want to say that one of the trailers was one I was really looking forward to, so I can finish on a positive. But
you started with that.
Yeah, Independence Day looks really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So we'll do an episode on that.
I'm sure we will.
That comes out in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So next week we are going to do our versus episode.
Yep. Versus episode next week. Who would win in a fight?
Yeah, and so what we're going to do is going to be every character from all the main characters.
We can do that.
All the main characters from every film we've reviewed.
You might have to write a list.
Oh yeah, I'll come prepared.
Good.
And we're just gonna put them up against each other and see who would win in a physical fight, or a mental fight for Xavier, I guess. I mean, we're not gonna get him to try and punch Wolverine, are we?
He could turn Wolverine into a little girl. He could make Wolverine believe he's a little girl.
Only mentally. So,
he could make Wolverine believe he's a little girl, then make Wolverine stab himself in the head.
What would happen?
Good question.
We'll come to this.
We'll come to that. That's a discussion for another time.
Cool. So that's what we'll do. We'll do next week.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you as well. Please get in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter with any comments, feedback, your opinions on X-Men. Who's your favorite character?
Who would win in a fight?
No, we'll get on that. Come on. Who was your favourite character from this X-Men film?
Yeah.
Or
who was your favourite actor/actress?
Who is your favourite X-Men from the comics or TV show who has not been in any films so far?
That's a good question. And who do you think's been the most faithful? The most faithful recreation?
Oh, that's up for arguments.
I think so. Argue in the comments.
Yeah, that'll be for the nerds. That one.
Yep, that's nerd bait, that one.
Yeah.
It's not Rogue. That's not the most faithful one.
I'm not going to get into this. I'm going to
No. I can't tell you who the most faithful is, but it's not Rogue.
Right, so yeah, see you all next week with our Versus episode. Hopefully talk to you on Facebook, Beer Pizza and a Movie, Twitter, Beer Pizza Movie. You got anything you want to say?
No, I think that covers everything. Thank you very much.
Cool, yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.